So we posted a video a little while ago about tips for representing yourself in court. And we had a lot of great questions and comments about that video, so I want to follow it up today with a totally different discussion, which is 3 reasons you should not represent yourself. So if you watched that first video, hopefully this video will give you the other side of it. 3 reasons you shouldn't represent yourself. The first is the one that you probably know about, which is if you are pro se, that's the Latin for representing yourself, there are things about the law you're just not going to know. Now, I'm not trying to be insulting. There are just a lot of things about law that do not make sense. They're not common sense, they're not obvious, and they're not things you would even necessarily figure out or look up. I'll give you one really silly example. If you're filing an answer in court, in state court in Pennsylvania, if you deny something, it's typically treated as though you admitted it because you have to not only deny it, but explain why you're denying it. You wouldn't know that unless you did a deep dive into the rules of civil procedure or looked up some cases and learned that. It's the type of thing that only a lawyer is going to know. You could harm your case right at the outset while thinking you're doing the right thing. This is one of about 100 examples I could give you. So not knowing the law is a big deal, and obviously that's one that a lot of people feel like, hey, I can remedy this. I'll get online, I'll Google it, I'll look it up, and that's a good start. That's not a bad thing, but still, there are things you're not going to know. A second reason not to represent yourself, and this is going to sound a little weird, there are ways that a good lawyer can effectively talk about your bad facts that sound better than you talking about them. Maybe you think there are no bad facts in your case. We'll get to number 3 in a second. But there are typically some things about the case you're involved in that don't make you look good. Maybe you're still right, maybe you should still win the lawsuit, but there's some reason that you don't look good. For a lawyer to come in and say, well, sure, yes, he did this thing wrong, that thing wrong, but you should still rule for him, that sounds better to a judge or to a jury or to an arbiter than it does if you come in and say, well, sure, I made some mistakes, but you should still rule for me. I know it's silly, but it's helpful to have somebody else talk about your bad facts in a way that's dismissive. If you do it, it just sounds like you're making excuses. A third reason that you should get a lawyer is because a lawyer is going to give you someone's unbiased, honest opinion about your case. One of the things that I think I do for my clients that's really helpful for them is I tell them what looks bad about their case. In my experience, most people come in and they're dismissing the things they did wrong. Maybe you don't even see them. And all of us do it. I do it in my own life. We think we're right, but somebody else sitting down with you who's never heard the situation before can tell you, here are the things about your case that look bad and here's how we need to handle them. So those are 3 quick reasons not to represent yourself. If you didn't watch our video on tips on representing yourself, go check that out as well, and hopefully that'll help you in case you decide to ignore this video on why not to.